Welcome back to Band Aid with Doc Rock here on MorningShowCentral.com. As you can tell, we're having fun already. We're in the recovery room with the Colonel. All right. Woo, great band, wild trio tonight. Now, one of the troops is still out there lost, so that's okay. But we heard some great music from the Colonel. What did we hear? 2 tunes?
Yeah, that was first track called Paper Thin, and then the second track you guys heard was Glockenspiel.
Glockenspiel, like a German song. Oh,
exactly,
okay.
right, exactly.
That's cool, that's cool. Now, for those of you who don't know the Colonel, if you guys want to just take a second to introduce yourselves, please.
Yep, my name is Sam Brzezowski, I play guitar.
My name's Cody, I play bass and also the keyboards.
Bass and keyboards, same time?
Yeah.
Really? Wow, that's why they're the Colonel. Okay, so.
And then our drummer Cameron, who was missed tonight.
Cameron
He's the drummer.
Cameron, oh no, you gotta have the drummer.
Oh, of course,
That's
of course.
important too. Cameron's really great. So this is cool stuff. And you guys have been together since what, 2010? Did I see?
Mm-hmm.
Recently.
Yeah.
Fairly recently. And let me ask how you met. You know, is this a going to school kind of thing, and met as school friends?
Yeah, you know, we actually all went to the same high school, but the way we all kind of met was just playing kind of in and out of bands with each other. They were. Him and Cameron were actually like in a band before I had met them, and then I started booking their band for like different like live shows with the band that I was in. I noticed that Cameron was this 16-year-old like prodigy on drums, and then
aren't they always?
Right, of course. And then Cody, you know, was just a phenomenal bass player. So I was like, you know, I think I'll pluck those 2 guys out.
Really?
Yeah.
What ended up happening is when me and Cameron's band ended up splitting up, is we were going to work on a project that was like super electronic heavy, and then we just decided to invite Sam over for a practice, and it just kind of happened from there.
That happened from there, huh? Yeah. Smart. Keep the businessman in the band. Smart man.
We fall apart without him.
Well, it's important, you know, and I'm, you know, it's great as a trio because, but I really admire that because a lot of bands, you know, think I'm going to throw a lot of instruments at the project, and a lot of instruments aren't the answer. It's you know, you do more with less. Because less instruments means better note definition, better intonation. You know, the audience attention is not thrown all over the whole stage with everybody. There's no clutter. And, you know, trios, you know, historically in rock, trios have done very, very well. So I think that's very, very impressive. Tell me the unusual name of the Colonel, because I had to read this a couple of times, but, you know, I hadn't thought about a band.
Where did they get that?
Yeah, you know, for the kind of stuff that you're doing. So I know there's a story behind it. Tell us, please.
Yeah, you know, it actually kind of started out as almost kind of a joke. You know, whenever you know someone would like make a wrong turn down a road or like get the wrong venue or like something screwed up, they were the Colonel. You know, they were the one in charge of the problem.
Okay.
And then it kind of like evolved from there to where, you know, we decided on that name and we were kind of like teeter-tottering from, you know, if we're going to do that or not. And then, you know, after a while we did a few shows and it really stuck. People really, really kind of enjoyed it. They related to that for whatever reason.
Sure.
And, you know, it turned out really, really well. And now it's kind of like this, like, serious thing to where we kind of look at it as, like, the Colonel, you know, it takes a long time to be, like, ranked as a Colonel. And all of us have had, like, and, like, all of us have had, like, past band experiences, like 2 or 3 bands under our belts. So, you know, it took us a while to get to this point, you know, where we were happy with it.
So if you keid going, you'll be a general. You said we're 1-star, 2-star, 3-star.
Right.
I didn't need a logo.
Get our stripes.
What do you think about the Colonel? You think of the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Right. Oh, yes.
We get that a lot.
A lot.
Oh, my gosh. Don't use it.
No KFC.
All right, well now, you know, then along with this, so why the decision to go instrumentals? You know, because you're not finding a lot of instrumental bands these days, and you know, is it that you don't want to do lyrics, the voices aren't so great, or you just prefer to be instrumental?
That's one of the biggest things we get a lot is like a lot of people are like, we should add vocals, it'll be perfect. But like we like to keep it instrumental. It's not that we can't sing because Sam's actually a phenomenal singer.
Really?
But we just we just care not to sing. We like to kind of paint the picture with the music, not as opposed to giving like lyrics for people to follow.
So it's painting a picture, which I can certainly understand. So it's got a very, you know, in the audio, if you will, there's a sense of the visual that you're trying to get across, so people's minds. Okay, I understand. And that's where I guess the psychedelic sort of comes into this.
Right.
Because what a combination. You know, psychedelic, funk, you know, rock and all, and you know, it's kind of neat. I'm curious from your viewpoint, how would you define psychedelic? And don't say Cameron, because he's not here.
No. You know, we all have a really good base as far as like music theory goes. You know, we're all great composers, and you know, but the one thing that you know we decided to kind of go psychedelic is that all of us kind of have this overall love of just strange noises and just like things that really stand out to people to where they're like, because everyone hears bass, drums, and a guitar. You know, I mean, there's that on every single CD over here.
Foundation.
Exactly, but you know, when you start adding in like the synths and like the different like you know sweeps and arpeggios and you know, different things like that, or even you know when it comes down to like different guitar techniques, when people hear that, I think it really kind of takes on a life of its own, and then you start expressing yourself with those weird noises where it gets really interesting to where you're not using it as like a weapon anymore, you're actually using it as like a part of the music.
It's a blending, you know,
Yeah.
it's an artistic blending. Kind of neat stuff.
Absolutely.
So now you're taking that and then conversely with that though, Sam, you're funk.
Right.
What the funk is funk?
Well, we have a really big influence off of like P-funk bands like Parliament.
Okay.
That's the kind of stuff that I grew up listening to, and just I aspired.
Shoes. Okay. Little George
I aspired to be Bootsy Collins, like the
Okay.
dad.
Oh yeah, sure.
So it just kind of went from there. I just always, as soon as I picked up bass,
Uh-huh.
like the first thing I wanted to do was start slapping.
Really?
Yeah, that was like my first aspiration.
Okay. So, but with the funk though, it's more than just slapping a bass. I mean, isn't it that gut beat, that strong?
Oh, yeah,
drum
that
beat?
drive, you know.
Right, yeah. It's not necessarily being like a lead bassist, you have to have the rhythm too. And that's
Right.
where me and Cameron click really well because we've been playing for so long.
Okay.
Is we're a great rhythm and bass section.
I see.
And where Sam can do his leads over top. Like
Uh-huh.
me and Cameron have been playing so long together that a lot of the times we can just freestyle. Or
Okay.
just like make up stuff as we go
I see.
while he's doing his stuff.
I get to noodle around.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I hope he doesn't make more money than the rest of you. It should be a three-way split. You know?
Oh, of course.
But so when you're blending all of this, you know, how do you write these instrumentals? I really like the stuff that you're doing, but then, you know, because most people, it's not like regular songwriting. So do you get together and just start laying down the beat and building on the beat, and then Sam just shreds in over the top, or, you know?
You know, it's such a odd process, you know, because like so many times you get kind of like trapped into this like verse, chorus, verse, bridge,
Right,
you know what
right.
I mean?
We're very regimented.
So like now when you take away any kind of like vocal pattern or, you know, like you actually take away like the measures per whatever, you know what I mean? When you take all that away, what you're left with is, you know, you know, what feels good, you know, actually musically, what sounds musically sound, but then you also have this, what feels just like right as far as the music and where it's like kind of taking it. You know, a lot of people say our songs are really kind of like long as far as the industry standard, you know, like most of our songs average around like 6 minutes or so. And that's just because we don't feel the song is done. And as far as our like songwriting process, it's largely different every single time. Sometimes like Cody and Cameron will kind of come in with the bass notes, and then sometimes I'll actually write an entire piece on guitar, and then they kind of like, you know, and that's the great part is that I can take anything to them, and it just becomes this completely different animal.
Do you find this with writing, though, do you find that it's kind of, because of the very structure that you're talking about, or lack of structure, it's mood oriented? I mean, do you find yourself, if you guys are in, you know, in sort of an upbeat mood, that, you know, that you'll pull that, you know, the tune is kind of an emotional reflection, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Okay. Because most, you know, both bands are like that, because again, they're, you know, being colorful, being expressive. Again, like I said earlier in the show, it all comes from within. And if you don't put the rigidity onto it of Western programmatic music, like we've talked about, it's a sense of freestyle.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that freestyle, and it's really good. And don't you find yourself as musicians growing in a better direction that way, rather than being so regimented?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of gives you this sense of freedom as far as, you know, style is, because like when we go and we approach a song, it's not like, oh, we have to sound this way, or we have to have like this kind of like vocal pattern, or even guitar or whatever. It's very much so to do with,
It's
you know,
not preconceived.
not at all. You know, I mean, like very, very much so. A lot of times it's
Oh, Stu, we need that.
yeah. But yeah.
Cool stuff. Now, there's a new release that's due. I did I read it somewhere? I forget. But new release is entitled "An Endless Contradiction."
That's right.
Which is so appropriate for what you just explained about your music. I mean, literally, it's right there. I think it's a really cool title. And it's going to be like 10 tracks.
Probably, yeah.
roughly-
Maybe possibly some more.
Really?
If the length of the CD can hold more songs.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, of course, it's 5 6 minutes apiece. Yeah,
Exactly.
1 hour of continuous listening. You know, no, I think that's cool. When is it coming out? You've got an idea yet?
Yeah, September 24th.
Wow.
We set the date. So yeah, it's actually going to be later on this month at a place called Jupiter Studios in Alliance.
Okay.
It's a little bit out of our, jurisdiction, if you will, you know what I mean?
Sure,
But we
sure.
love the place. It's actually an art gallery.
Oh, cool.
So it fits like perfectly as far as, what we're trying to do and what we're kind of trying to express. That, people can go there, not only listen to music, but also like experience some cool artwork, and get a real feel for what our band's all about.
I think it's the greatest, smartest thing bands can do. Let us, when you do CD release parties and different things, hold them in artistic settings.
Yeah.
Don't run out and just grab the nearest club and do it. Clubs have audio, sure, we understand that in the stage, but it's boring for the fan.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't do any, a lot of times it doesn't do anything to enhance the band. When you get into an art gallery, and we're really using an art gallery, and the art that's there is somewhat visually reflective of the music, people get it. They walk out and they walk around and they say, this is really cool because they're really
It's like, they chose this venue for, such and such.
But in an
reason.
artistic environment, it's a wise thing to do for bands, so I applaud you for
And we've even considered just doing like as opposed to like a bunch of bands playing, actually inviting a bunch of bands out, just have a good time, have
Sure.
a few drinks, some pizza, just
Sure.
stuff like that. And then, so it kind of takes away, you don't have to be like pelted with loud music the
Sure,
entire time,
sure.
even though that's what we love, you know what I mean?
Of course. And of course, add a funky bass to that. You want to make sure the art is well hung on the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're buying a lot of art that night.
But never give, we try never to give our fans a reason not to come, we constantly strive to, make them.
Great way to do it. I agree. Hey, the tune.